Hello again everyone, this is Mr. G, and welcome to my video on Week 7's content, chord progressions. You'll notice that I have a small bit of Week 6's lecture up here, and that's only because I want to give you a visual reference, both for the chords that are built on each of the scale degrees in a major and harmonic minor scale, and to give you a reference for the Roman numerals of those chords, both their number and their case. But just to be fair, the case doesn't matter so much as the number when it comes to chord progressions, and I'll explain why in a little bit. But first, chord progressions themselves. Let me talk about that for a little bit. Chord progressions are essentially a sequence of chords that sound pleasing or cool or very musical to the ear. What deems a certain chord progression as sounding cool is largely based on culture or society in which that music is made. For instance, if you saw the Axis of Awesome video, the chord progression that they used extensively was 1, 5, 6, 4. And as they highlighted in the video, a lot of songs, a lot of pop songs use that chord progression. Why? I'm not entirely sure. Enough people said this sounds amazing, and then enough artists capitalized on that, and so that chord progression just became very popular. But not only that chord progression, there are other chord progressions that are extremely popular, extremely effective at creating catchy, attractive songs. And this catchiness is based on the chord by chord moments. So say for instance we're listening to a 5 chord. Which other chord in the scale would logically follow a 5 chord? And then from that chord, what would follow that logically in a manner that sounds cool, catchy, attractive, etc. There's a certain flow when it comes to chord progressions, and that is what they are, musical flow. In order to summarize this information, I found this handy-dandy flowchart. It looks a little daunting, but let me break it down for you one aspect at a time. First things first, you see the Roman numerals. All of those from 1 to 7 have the same case that you would find in a major scale. Case does not matter as much as the number, like I said before, and that is because this will also work in a minor scale. But this is the graphic that I have for now. Because it works in both major and minor, we're sticking with this. 1 can go to any of the other chords. That's what this arrow means. So if your music is currently on a 1 chord, it can go to anything else. And then you simply just follow the arrows from the other chords to help you find a logical progression. It's much easier to show and play. So let me pull up my piano keyboard. Make sure it's working. There we go. And I'm going to demonstrate a sample chord progression using C. I'm going to give you a 1, 4, 5, 1 chord. It sounds quite simple, but you can't argue that it sounds quite pleasing as well. Let me give you another example. I'm going to start on 1, go to 4, and then 5. Then I'm going to go to 6. Oops. There we are. Now from 6, just keep following the flow. We can go back to 4 if we wanted to, or we could go to 2 even. I'm going to go to 2. And then 5. And back to 1. So 1, I want you to think of as home. Music always wants to come back to home base. And that is why all the other chords lead back to 1. That is why when you reach 1 in a chord progression, it feels like you have arrived somewhere. It feels like a solid resolution. Let me now also show you that this can work just as effectively in minor. Again, just in your mind, swap the case of the Roman numerals that don't match. So I'm going to start on a minor one. I'm going to play that same progression that I did at the start of 1, 4, 5, 1. Minor 4, 5, 1. And now let me play that second progression for you, the 1, 4, 5, 6. Now remember, yes, 6 is major in minor. And why not? Let me finish off on the Axis of Awesome chord progression, both in major and in minor. So we've got 1, and then 5, 6, 4. And then same thing in minor. It'll definitely work that way also. Not quite as strong, but it definitely still works following the flow chart. And that is chord progressions. Essentially, it's a sequence of chords that sounds pleasing to the ear. Some chords, when following in a certain way, will work better than others, but you don't have to memorize it so long as you have this chart. Feel free to experiment in the harmonization sections as well as your micro composition for this week. I'm very anxious to hear what you come up with. Music be with you.